What's up, everyone? Welcome to the first practical video of the Inner Healing Academy, which is uncovering your wounds. This is really setting the foundation of walking through your inner healing, but also the foundation of walking confidently in who and what God called you to be and called you to do. Although this is the foundation, this is probably, in my personal opinion, one of the most difficult steps when it comes to your inner healing journey, because during this time you literally have to go back to those times, or go back to those traumatic events, go back to those times you were rejected and disappointed, go back to those times you were lied to, you were abused, you were used, and really allow God, or if you don't believe in God, yourself, whatever, to really uncover those wounds, uncover those feelings, go back to those moments, goes back to those feelings, go back to how your body reacted, in order to rewire your brain to have a different response. I'll say that one more time: to rewire your brain to have a different response. So when it comes to traumatic events, right? Traumatic events or negative events actually literally rewires your brain. Literally. And so now you're used to a certain response. That's what we call triggers, right? When we hear I remember when I was in high school, this girl who she literally got irritated when someone would push the pin multiple times, play with it like that, and just imagine the clicking sound, right? And she literally would freak out, like, please stop, right? That was a trigger for her. We don't know why, but that was a trigger for her, right? We don't know if maybe somebody would do this before she would get cussed out, or somebody would do this before she was abused, or whatever the case may be, right? And so we all have different triggers, and those triggers come from moments in our lives where, again, something major happened. And a traumatic event, it doesn't even have to be something that necessarily was like abuse or sexual abuse or anything like that. It's just something that, a traumatic event, I like this definition, is something that happened in your life that caused you to have a different mindset or a different behavior or way or action in a negative light. A different mindset or a different action in a negative light. And so if you remember the freedom videos, if you watch the freedom videos, true freedom is being able to remove those strongholds that's holding you back and be who God called you to be, right? And so I'm going to be talking about how to uncover those wounds. I'm going to keep this video short, and like moving forward, like, I don't really care to be polished. I don't really care to have all these special effects. I want to be raw. I want to be real with you. Like, it's just me and you having this conversation, right? No one else, right? Each of these videos, look below, you're going to have homework, right? I'm going to be giving you homework, and I'm going to be giving you kind of ideas of some worksheet ideas that you can use, some of which I will create myself and upload it in the future. Some I will not, but it's completely up to you. So again, we're going to be talking about inner healing through a biblical lens. Again, you don't have to be a follower of Jesus, right? I'm not here to convert you, right? But I'm here to share and pour out the love of Jesus as I receive the love of Jesus, as I'm learning as well, because he does love you. He does see you, and he does want you to be healed. This idea came from him. It did not come from me, right? The effects of trauma on your spirit, soul, and your mind. Your soul is your mind, your will, and your emotions. How did trauma affect you? How did that event that disappointed you, rejected you, abused you, affected the way you think, affected the way you act, affected the way you spoke, right? Maybe you struggle with relationship with your parents, you struggle with romantic relationships. Maybe you struggle with a relationship with yourself because of something that happened to you. Maybe you blame yourself or you blame other people. We're going to be uncovering that. As with these videos, everyone's open to these videos, but in terms of the coaching part, that's different based on your payment, right? So anyway, and then I'm gonna be helping you recognizing emotional triggers and soul ties that we're going to be unpacking. So the first thing, and this is backwards, so please excuse this being backwards, but just imagine it's not. The first thing I really want you to do is I want you to grab a piece of paper and create a pain timeline. Right? Really, or an event timeline, but you can do a pain timeline, right? So for me, I wrote age 0 to age 27. That's how old I am now, okay? Age 0, that's when I was born, right? I'm born. And then I wrote, instead of just a straight line for a timeline, I did up and downs. ups and downs, right? What were the moments in my life that was up? What were the moments in my life that were down? AKA the traumatic events or traumatic moments, right? I was born, and I was born to a very loving family. Now my family has issues. Right? My family, as I get older, I realize my family is jacked up, right? But at the end of the day, we are still a very loving family. All family has issues, right? But my family really don't like to deal with certain issues. They like to sweep things under the rug. They're that type of family, right? You can really hurt somebody, and instead of just being an adult and addressing that person and having a heart-to-heart conversation, my family would rather block you and not talk to you for years until they're over it, but really they're never really over it. They just really buried it, and they're still walking around with that hurt and that disappointment and that unforgiveness and that bitterness. And just like, I'm gonna just talk to you in 5 years from now, 10 years from now. So I was born to a loving family. We have issues, but what family don't have issues? But then growing up, I was bullied. I was bullied literally from elementary school all the way to high school. All right, I was bullied and bullied bad, especially in elementary school. I was bullied real bad, and not just by the students. I was bullied by the teachers. Believe it or not, the teachers probably treated me worse, or if not the same as the students. It was really bad, right? The up is, in middle school, I had some type of status because I was good with sports and I was funny, right? And so the up was, I'm getting into basketball, I'm getting into sports, I'm getting into softball and track and things like that. But then the down is I was filled with so much lust and porn because I was addicted to porn. And so because of that, it changed my mindset. It changed how I viewed myself. It changed how I reacted and interacted, with other people, with men and women, because I was watching porn. I was addicted to porn. I had all these lust issues, but that was a down in my life. That was a traumatic event in my life because of how porn actually entered into my life, and it definitely was the enemy. I could share the story another day. Going up, good grades, I was always good in school, but I didn't believe I had any type of talents. The only thing I was good at was grades, was learning. But that's honestly not true. As I got older and actually discovered my purpose, I realized that God gifted me with the gift of speaking and teaching, and which is related to grades and learning. And then traveling and things like that. And anyway, just write the timeline, right? If you don't want to, actually, I do want you to go back and not only just recap the traumatic events, but recap the good events in your life as well, right? But maybe start off with the traumatic events. Start off from your timeline, from age 0, from when you were born to all the way to your age right now. What happened in your life that shaped the way you saw yourself, you saw others, that shaped your worldview, right? And that changed your behavior in a negative light. Maybe you don't realize it's negative, right? Right? I didn't realize that me essentially tuning people out when they corrected me was negative. And that came from when I was in college, right? I used to beat myself up when someone would come to me and say, "Nate, you have this issue, you have this issue, you have that problem." I would humble myself and I would take it in, but instead of walking in repentance, I would walk in shame. I would repent, but I would walk in so much shame. And so someone, my old chaplain, actually helped me realize, "Hey, Nate, you are really hard on yourself." And when he said that, made me realize that's true. I am hard on myself. And so instead of reacting as, let me stop being hard on myself but still be able to be humble and receive what people are saying, I decided to defend myself and harden my heart to anyone that would try to correct me or point something out negative into me, because I didn't want to walk in shame again. I didn't realize this until a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so something you may think is good is actually bad. So really going deep, why do I react this way? Why do I have this reaction? Why do I have these thoughts? Why do I have this belief system, right? So uncovering those wounds. But also you're going to see, again, my story map, that's pretty much the same thing with the timeline. And I want you to do for this week, I want you to do something called a trigger tracker. Throughout this week, throughout the day, I want you to write down at what points throughout your day, at what points throughout your week you were triggered. What did someone say? What did you see online, right? What did someone do that triggered you in a certain way? How did it trigger you? What happened physically in your body? Did your heart begin to race? Did you begin to shake a little bit? Did you get irritated? Did you get angry? Did you get happy, right? Like, figure out, really pay close attention to you. People are people watchers. I'm a people watcher. I love to watch people, but do you love to watch yourself? Do you love to watch what you do, how you think, how you move? Because you're gonna learn during this academy. You're gonna learn more about you than you ever have before, right? Because God is gonna reveal more about you than you ever thought before, for the purpose of healing those and uncovering those wounds. So that's video 1.